Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of Meet the Board. I'm Eric D'Souza of Crime Writers of Canada, and today joining us is Anne Fotheringham, the regional rep of Quebec. How are you, Anne?
I'm fine, thank you.
So you write by AJ.
Yes.
I guess I have to ask. I didn't even write it down, but I have to ask. What's the J stand for?
Joan.
So Anne is a Montreal-based writer who, at the age of 9, started a lifelong love of words. She used this skill to build a career in journalism, communication, translations, and publishing. She has published a children's book, a poetry book, short stories, and nonfiction. And she currently is writing the Lambs Bay Mysteries, a cozy mystery series based in the fictional town of Lambs Bay, a coastal community whose charming atmosphere hides a series of secrets. And it must be a lot of secrets because you're on your 9th book. So how, actually, I have to ask, we mentioned we're in Quebec. What's it like being an Anglophone author in Quebec?
Well, it depends, I'm in the West Island. There's a lot of Anglophones on the West Island. I'm in Montreal, which is more cosmopolitan. If I was living in a smaller community where there were very few Anglophone readers and writers, maybe I would feel marginalized. But the thing is, today, everything's online. So we're online everywhere. We did a presentation at the Atwater Library downtown in October, and it was online, and a lot of people dialed in, I'm dating myself, connected to watch it. So, there's a lot of ways you can communicate with other people. And one of the things I do is I walk around when I go shopping. I carry my bags with me, my shopping bags that say, Murder, She Tote and all that. And people stop me and say, where'd you get the cool bag? And I say, and I start talking about it. And I get them my business card. They say, oh my God, you're writing mysteries. And they get all excited. You have to find readers where you can.
Wow, I have one of those Maple Leaf mystery tote bags. Maybe I should be walking around with it. A lot of authors, especially Canadian authors in other provinces, often say that they get a lot of support from their local bookstores. I know myself, I do very much so. Do you get that same support in a French province? I know you said you live in the West Island,
Yeah.
but still, I would imagine most of the independent bookstores are French.
A majority of them are, but we have chapters. And we also have some smaller bookstores. There's one here in the West Island, Cleo's. I have my books there. So it's a matter of finding them and making them aware that our authors are willing to work with them. And I think that's a project for the coming years, to try and identify more of these bookstores that will accept Anglophone books, and so that we can promote ourselves.
Is there a vibrant Anglophone community, Anglophone writing crime community in Montreal or the West Island?
Crime. Well, there's Quebec Writers Federation. There's a lot of members there. They have events. Well, they're getting back to events downtown. There's quite a lot of members in that group. There are some. I'm a member of both. They tend to be anything but crime oriented. But I'm meeting with them this month, because the director and I've been talking about setting up a joint Quebec Writers Federation and Crime Writers event, maybe in the spring. I know years ago there was one. I remember going to it, and that was when I first heard about crime writers. I went to a QWF event. There were crime writers there. Cool people who like to kill people.
True, and you probably have the most famous crime writer of all Canadians in Quebec, who
Yes.
I think it's just December 1st today, right? So her
Yeah.
Three Pines mystery series comes out today, and
Yes, thank goodness I have Prime.
Well, let's talk about your series a little bit. This is the 9th book that you have, and Haley goes to a wedding, I believe, and
Yeah.
a lot of mayhem seems to occur by the 9th book.
Well, if you can see that, can you?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. This is Woes at the Wedding. I'm going the wrong way that way. Woes at the Wedding. Yeah. She gets a call from her sister who works at the resort and says one of the bridesmaids is missing. and it's a big fancy wedding, and it's all orchestrated for 6 bridesmaids and 6 groomsmen, and we have to have a fill-in. What size dress do you wear? And she says, I'm a 12. She says, fine, get your butt up here. So she goes to this wedding and everything seems to be going okay, though she's bored out of her mind and her dress is itching her because it's made of tulle and it's very hard to walk in. And after that, we end up with a stabbing, an abduction. Hilly herself, who's the main character. Her name is Hilaria Barton Cheswick, but everybody calls her Hilly. And she gets stashed in the basement with the missing bridesmaid. And the worst part of all is the bride was wearing a very, very expensive diamond tiara, and it's been stolen. So the idea is find the bride, find the tiara. There's a ransom demand floating around. So there's a lot of stuff happening. It's a really ruined wedding. I did a very good job of it. I've been
Yes,
to
you
a few
did.
weddings in my life that were like, I went to a wedding once where the kitchen stove exploded. Wasn't mine, but
By the 9th book, when mayhem ensues, does everybody like step back and say, don't worry, Hilly's here? Or
the local people have sort of gotten into the thing where they think Hilly is very key to solving a lot of the mysteries. And she works with the police. She always makes sure she's doing what the police want her to do so she doesn't get in trouble. Though sometimes she goes out on her own. She ends up in trouble anyway. And in this book, someone has started a local gossip site called Ba News. And it's called Ba News because it's Lambs Bay. Lambs go ba. It's just a bit of silliness. And they're saying like, well, is she going to solve the mystery? And she's saying, nah, And our police chief, Lester, is telling you, stay out of it. You stay home. Don't get in the way. Keep your mouth shut. And of course, that's very difficult for Hilly. And she does end up helping a lot.
we know she is. You told me before, but you get this question a lot. You say that Lambs Bay is a fictional town, but you must get questions, and I'm going to ask it again. Is it in Quebec? It seems East Coast. Could it possibly be in like Maine or in the States, or where is Lambs Bay?
Lambs Bay is a fictional Eastern Seaboard community that I totally made up because I've always had a thing for the sea. I grew up in Great Britain and we were never far from the sea, and I loved going to it. So, and I love lighthouses, and I once went sailing for a week off the coast of Maine on a schooner. That was fun. And so when I decided to have a place where my mysteries would happen, the first one just popped out of my head was the lighthouse, the hereditary keepers of the lighthouse who don't keep it anymore because they're all automated, and what happened there. And that's how Peril at Paxton Point started, which was the first book. And when that book started, there had already been 2 murders. So
there's a lot going on. Yeah, they
yeah.
always say like stay out of Cabot Cove, but I guess it's the same with Lions Bay or Lambs Bay.
Yeah, well, we're getting a lot of tourists now, so there's more people.
More
But
people to kill.
yeah, well, actually, it helps mix up the community because you come up with new ideas, new things happening as things develop. I don't think a series should stay static. The characters need to evolve. The community needs to evolve. Things need to be happening. So if you just have a straight mystery, where did Uncle George hide the diamonds, and you just concentrate on that, you don't get into the lives of the people. It's not as exciting. And when I was doing my master's in writing popular fiction, my mentors both were series writers, and they both stressed you've got to have development. You can't just let your character turn up in every book and do the same things and be the same person. If they're afraid of rats or something, you got to have a scene where they meet rats, stuff like this, so that the character develops and matures. I mean, don't have to have them grow gray hair overnight, but though Hilly might if she keeps up what she's been doing, but you need to have the interest. Like I have been getting, there's a main character in the series called Brody, who was in Paxton Point. His name is Brody Paxton. He's the last of the Lightkeeping family. And his wife has just been killed when the book starts. And people are bugging me like crazy. When are Hilly and Brody going to get together?
Being in Quebec, what is it like having both English and French members?
I think it's very opening because we write differently. There's a different style in French. I read both French and English, always have. I'm bilingual, so I will pick up a book in either language. And when I was working as a journalist, I worked for the Canadian Press, and sometimes we had to rewrite a French story, and the whole approach to writing in French is different than in English. So you had to learn that. So it was a skill that you learned. And here I find different cultural backgrounds, different things of interest. To me, it's very opening to be able to read in both languages. My whole family's bilingual. And I think that's very important. I think by cutting ourselves off with just one language, we limit ourselves. My mother grew up in 4, so
No.
and learned the 5th one. So, it's I think it's important. I don't think we should be insular. And for crime writers, I talk about it to people in both languages. And the people are interested. Oh, you mean there's a crime writers group? Oh, yeah. What are they like? They're like me,
Are most of your members Montreal-based? I know it happens in most of the provinces where most everybody lives in the city, but
most of them are in Montreal or not too far. And then there's some further up, like we have a couple in Quebec City and that. But Quebec's very spread. Our population is mostly along the river area, if you like, and further north it gets more sparse. So, but we hope to get more members as we spread our wings.
excellent. Anne, it was a pleasure talking to you today. Yeah, it was nice. Actually, this is the first time we spoke, so it was nice actually getting to know you and meeting you for the first time. I know we have some big plans for Crime Writers of Canada this next year, and
Yes.
I know Montreal's going to be a big part of it.
Oh, I hope so.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.